Hello everyone, good day. I am Derf Allen El Patalinghog, and my topic for today's discussion is all about the beat movement. When you talk about beat movement, what comes first into your mind? Right. We can say that by its literal meaning, beat movement is somewhat like involved to a dance movement or actions and such. However, beat movement it is a literal movement and generation that existed during the post-World War II. This movement was created by the three famous writers, namely Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, and William Burroughs. These three writers met at the Columbia University in New York. And this whole thing, the beat literary movement, it focuses on the attitude of the youth and lifestyle who were far from a typical Americana. So they focuses on their own desires, their freedom, and the liberation of being a youth. The work of beat writers is characterized by experimental styles and subjects, wherein they focuses on the spontaneous writing without regard for the grammar, and also they embrace the sexually explicit languages, and they discussed about their own personal experiences and the themes about rejection from the usual American values. And they also talk about the fear of the nuclear war to sexual escapes and road trips. So basically, this whole literary movement it focuses on the impossible things that a certain person can do during that era. The writers during this period, they let their own desire the things that they thought would be impossible to do, such as rejecting the usual American values and focusing more on what is their own belief and the belief of being liberated, being free from the judgment and criticism of people. This time, I am going to discuss about the three famous writers during the beat movement. The first one is William Burroughs. As a youth, William Burroughs was a bookish boy with homosexual tendencies and a fascination with guns and lawlessness. Because of that principles that he had in him, it led him to become one of the known writers during the beat movement because he created a book entitled The Naked Lunch, which is about his own experiences, his own journey in that period. And it was published in Paris, France, but 3 years later in the United States. The second writer is Allen Ginsberg. His break came in 1955 when he joined other beat poets for a public reading in San Francisco and delivered a resounding performance of what became his trademark poem, How.
The third writer is Jack Kerouac. He was the most significant author during the beat movement. He coined the term beat and he wrote one of the famous books on the road.
These are the three famous works in beat movement that revolutionized American literature in total, namely Howl, On the Road, and The Naked Lunch. This body of works focuses on themes about freedom, personal experiences, and new values that emphasize how people and the youth during that period of time act and behave. There are three themes that existed during the beat movement. The first one is delusionment. Delusionment may be considered the core theme of the beat movement, for it encompasses the basic reason for the split from mainstream society that the original beats desired. The second one is social nonconformity. Nonconformity did entail a more reckless lifestyle, from heavy use of alcohol and other drugs to theft, homicide, and gangster involvement. The last one is spontaneity. This theme, more than any other, speaks to the frenzied, intense emotional state that many beats found both exhilarating and necessary. The beat movement used the three types of styles. The first one is the cut-up technique. This technique was as much a rebellion against the language control as a quirky creative impulse, and Burroughs claimed that rebellion was the more important factor in the beat movement. The second one is spontaneous prose. This type of writing is not plotted or preconceived in any way. Instead, it consists of a flow of thoughts written down as it occurs in a continuous stream of images and movements. Last one is contemporary idiom. The Beats, however, took the idiom of their generation to daring new levels with the inclusion of words and subject matter previously considered too immoral or illegal to print. Now let's proceed to the movement variation. The first one is abstract expressionism. Abstract expressionists often used huge canvases and many rejected that conventional surface altogether. Another movement variation is music. Jazz music already existed during the beat movement. However, the beat movement promoted another type of music, almost a combination of rhythm and blues, and what eventually became the thumping gyrations of rock and roll. It was a style of jazz called bebop. Another is film. The beat movement in film encompassed a wide variety of forms, documentaries about the beat generation, movies based on the lives of the most prominent beats, and the movies based on their novels. The last one is hippies. I assume that everyone here knows hippies. Hippie culture values pacifism, creative expression through music, writing, film, and other art forms, recreational drug use, environmentalism, sexual liberation, alternative religions, and alternative lifestyle. Criticism of the beat movement was initially almost as divided as the beats themselves were from mainstream American society. Beat writers were attacked for their disregard for proper grammar and their often incoherent rambling prose that seemed accessible only to its authors. Watson says that as the 20th century draws to a close, the beat generation has outlived that historical moment, surviving notoriety and media blitz to become classic literature for succeeding generations. That ends my part. Thank you for bearing your time with me and for understanding my topic. Thank you for listening and have a good day.